I, again, am Emily Burns. I'm an assistant professor in graphic design. And just to give you a little bit of context, so some of the projects I'm going to be talking about today for my personal work are through a larger project that I created called Make Magazine, M-A-A-K-E. You can check it out at makemagazine.com. And this is a print publication that features the work of contemporary artists and artist-run spaces. So a portion of my work is at the intersection of contemporary visual art as well as graphic design, and that'll kind of make sense as I go through. So some of my projects through Make Magazine are curatorial projects where I am designing and curating exhibitions in collaboration with different projects across the country. And so the two most recent that are sustainability focused are a show that I curated last summer called Biophilia. It is at Unpaved Gallery in Yucca Valley, California, which is right outside of Joshua Tree. This is not a great photograph, but it kind of shows you the context of the gallery, which is a shipping container in the middle of the Mojave Desert. So you can kind of see, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but this is the gallery here in the middle of nowhere in the desert. And so this is just the opening reception, and this is a view of the actual gallery space. And so Biophilia was a collection of paintings and works on paper that were highlighting artists who work with the human and environment connection in their work. So this is just a couple of views of the exhibition. So a lot of visuals of humans and plants interacting in a lot of different ways. And there were quite a few different artists in this group exhibition. Here's some up close images, a lot of very different work, but all centered around this idea. And the most recent is an exhibition that is up right now in Brooklyn, very different context of location, in Brooklyn, New York at Trestle Gallery, and it's called Garden School. And this just opened on October 2nd, and so it is up right now and open by appointment. Obviously, during COVID, exhibitions are a little bit different, but these are some installation shots of the show. Again, this is focused on what can humans learn from plants and the environment, and how are we moving forward. Specifically during COVID, there was a really big surge in people looking to reconnect with nature. And so this was exploring different artists' perspectives on that feeling. So here's just a few installation shots from this exhibition. This was also part of a larger project spearheaded through Trestle Gallery, where a number of different artist-run projects from all across the United States worked together, and Make Magazine produced a special issue highlighting interviews with all of these artist-run spaces. So this exhibition was part of this larger project, and this is the special edition issue of the magazine that came out interviewing all of the different participating spaces. So just to bring it back around to my teaching, these are some examples of student work where I've, just from this past semester, so these were all done, all of these projects were done remotely via Zoom from last semester here at Penn State. So the first one I'm going to show is from Typography as Brand. These are the students that participated in this particular project. And Ilona is here, I think, today. So thank you to Ilona for this project. Our class partnered with the Sustainability Institute to work with the Borough of State College to brand their new sustainability division. So it's called Sustainable Center Region, and 4 different groups of students worked together to create a new visual identity for this office so that they could start their operations around State College area. And this was the chosen brand identity that was used and is now currently in use. All of the projects I'm showing today are by sophomores. So what's challenging about this is how do we incorporate sustainability, but also into the foundational graphic design coursework that we need to make sure that they're developing. So this was a fairly complex visual identity system where there's a primary logo as well as icons that relate to the different actions that are related to all of the different sustainability goals that the borough has. So this is a mock-up of the larger visual identity at work, business cards, letterhead. This can be applied to many different deliverables. The reason this brand identity was a little more complex is you can see that all the different municipalities that are participating in the program need to be able to be incorporated into the larger identity system. So these are just a few different lockups at the top, as well as different versions of the primary logo that each municipality would use, as well as all the different actions. For instance, transportation, land use, water, energy efficiency had to be visually identified in some kind of way. So this is a very cohesive, consistent system that the students developed together as a team that really highlights sustainability, that I thought they did a really incredible job, in particular for sophomores. So really successful project. And thank you again to Alona for facilitating that. The second project I want to talk about is also sophomore students, and this is a project that I developed called Sustainable Quarterly, where I wanted to talk about, I'll just show you this image here. I wanted students to learn about how to use typography in more complex settings and through sequential design, but also incorporate sustainability. So students developed the concept for a new publication that had some focus on sustainability, but sustainability wasn't the primary focus. They chose some interest that they had. In this case, it's a student chose sailing as a primary interest of theirs and made an entire publication about sailing, but this was specifically the sustainability issue. So they were looking at how does sustainability come into play in specific context. So in this case, Tori was looking at minimizing the provisioning footprint on shore during sailing expeditions. So I thought this was a really great way for students to not only learn the broader functionality of like how do you produce and brand and come up with all of the content for a publication, but also how does sustainability affect everything, like depending on what your interests are. So, so these are just some examples of the publication. Again, this was all done remotely via Zoom. Another example is Jake Lawal did a publication called Gouache, which focused on making art sustainable. So this is Gouache magazine. And these were front runners these were chosen as finalists for communication arts design competition. So they did very well, but really focusing on creating content. So this is another example of Alex Rupp created a magazine called Phase, The Path to Sustainable Music Festivals. So you can see how sustainability was able to come into like every single topic that they could come up with, which was really exciting. And the students were responsible for making all of the content. So they had to write the article or interview somebody about sustainability. They had to take photos, they had to create the illustrations. Every single thing was made by the student. Kristen created a magazine called Frizz for people with curly hair, and she focused on plastic-free hair product packaging as part of her concept. So you can see they all look very different, but I thought they did a really excellent job of this is the students' first time creating multi-page documents, and I think they did a really beautiful job, but also really brought in some really important ideas. And yeah, that's all I have. So thank you very much.